got ourselves a quickie, but it's not the one that you usually have happen in the bedroom. Now today it's the wiki, which is another term for quickie, and it's about the murder of Emily Armstrong. I don't think she's related to that famous Armstrong guy that lives, I think, still to this day, right? Man, I have to really catch up on history of the human race. But today I wanted to share this very obscure, tiny article with you because it's an unsolved murder that occurred way back, I think in 1949, I suppose. And they wrote the following about it. She was a British victim of an unsolved murder. At the time of her murder, she was 69, a widow and described as bespectacled, frail and friendly. She was also a devout Catholic and had been looking forward to the Easter services at St. Joseph's Church in Wealdstone. On the 14th of April 1949, her body was found at the dry cleaner shop which she owned on St. John's Wood High Street in London. The shop failed to reopen after lunch that day, and a queue of customers began to build up outside. After a while, two women went around to the back of the shop to find out what had happened, and discovered Emily Armstrong's body. She had been beaten to death with a blunt instrument. Police later determined she had been killed roughly an hour before her body was found, at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. A post-mortem examination also showed that her skull had been shattered by at least 22 blows, later to be believed to be a claw hammer. Initially, police thought Armstrong was the victim of a botched robbery. Her handbag was missing at the crime scene and the till was open and empty. Her handbag was later found nearby with a bloody handkerchief bearing a laundry mark, H612, although no leads resulted from the piece of evidence. Police believe that her killer had followed her back to her shop at around 2:10 p.m. While authorities pursued several theories, they failed to find a suspect. Witnesses reported a suspicious man around 30 years old and between 5 feet or 5-6 feet tall. However, they were unable to identify the individual. A murderer who had recently escaped from Broadmoor Hospital was also considered before witnesses failed to identify him in a police lineup. Several army deserters were also questioned, however, all were eventually released. Police eventually concluded that Armstrong's murder had either been a tramp or a man who had fled to Ireland. And that's actually where they stopped the article. Again, one of those very tiny obscure cases that leaves you wondering what the hell happened that fateful day for this woman. Sounds kind of bizarre being found in your own shop with 22 blows to your head caused by a claw hammer. So this seems to be an act of extreme aggression as well. Maybe someone held a grudge against her. They say the crime seems to be without, well, specific motive. I suppose maybe it was for money, because they did say that her handbag was missing, so I'm assuming that maybe she had money in there. They didn't really specifically say that, but when somebody gets murdered in this sort of manner, with that sort of aggression to it, it's usually an indication that somebody knew the victim and had a personal grudge against them. That's usually what they say, especially with that many blows to your head. That seems to be very personal. Just a random murder, or almost an accidental murder where it was just in the spur of the moment, doesn't happen like this. So I guess that's really sad, because somebody got away with their act of perhaps revenge on her. Who knows? Maybe had a specific reason. You never know. Doesn't mean that they should take someone's life, but that's the sort of murder that we're dealing with. I hope this woman is resting in peace. And as always, dear viewer, have sweet dreams.